Now this week we finally got gameplay for Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, this has been a long time coming, and I've mentioned this before several times. Pre-E3, I talked about, well, this is very exciting, we could be seeing something about it. We saw nothing. Then there was the PlayStation Pro event. We saw nothing. We saw walking. Great. I'm so glad you showed me pre-alpha footage of you walking around in a game. Fantastic. Then we get to N7 Day, and they show a story trailer, which, while being very good, was no gameplay. So we finally got gameplay for this stupid game. And I have to say, it looks really good, and it looks very Dragon Age Inquisition-y to me, which is something we kind of knew about. I think there was an interview a long time ago saying that there was a lot of things they learned, or they were just going to take from Inquisition and move into this. Very much strikes me as you're going to be landing on each of these planets in the same way you go to the different areas in Inquisition. Like, here's the hinterlands, I'm going to go there, I'm going to go to the forest place. Seems to be that's how it'll work. The game looks great. The combat looks fast. It definitely looks less of a Gears type of cover shooter, even though there was cover stuff going on. That all looks fine and dandy, but there's a few problems here. Namely the cutscenes, which just look really bad. I don't understand how their facial capture is 10 years behind. It seems like it's worse than Mass Effect ever was. Like, it's gotten worse. How did it not get better? Their lips are really weird and funky. The whole cutscene with that rebel leader of the gang chick played terribly to me. It's just really stupid. And I don't buy that if you're a mercenary and you're pointing a gun at someone and they take the gun, you were ready to shoot them. Why don't you attack them? It just seems very, very weird to me, but that's beside the point. Everything else looks great. But the voice, the lip syncing and all that, the mouths they're not even Uncanny Valley. They just are bad. The lip syncing is bad in what they showed. And also what they showed, I got a little screenshot of it. There's a point when they're showing the combat where these two mechs drop down, and then the player turns to this little observation deck, and there's a guy up there, and they warp up to the guy. Now pictured is this guy. That is the guy that is warped up too. And it struck me odd the first time this happened when I watched it on the Game Awards, and then I didn't go back and watch the trailer until today. Again, I watched it again, and it immediately was like, "Yo, there's something wrong with this." So he warps up to this enemy. The enemy, there's like a flash, the damage effects and everything. The enemy doesn't do anything. The enemy stands there, and the player kind of walks around them and doesn't look that way anymore. And it seems intentionally does not look that way because this character doesn't die, doesn't appear to be like frozen in time, just stands there. Doesn't move, doesn't fall down, doesn't do anything, just stands there. And that's a little weird to me. And not that you would have a glitch like this, or that I'm reading too much into it saying, oh, the game's definitely going to be delayed now because this guy doesn't move. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, you made this trailer. There are cuts in this trailer all over the place. This isn't 5 minutes of straight gameplay. This is, we cut here, we cut there, let's show you some Mako stuff. It's not called that anymore, but whatever. And let's show you some aliens, let's show you a cutscene, let's show you some combat. Now you're fighting guys, now you're fighting robots, now you're fighting monsters. Here's some crafting, here's some investigation. It's all cuts. And they left this part in where a guy just doesn't even do anything. He just stands there. It's broken. This is a glitch. This is a problem in the game. And that made it to the final cut of the trailer. Why didn't you re-record the footage where it worked? Something's very strange about this whole thing. Not to mention there's a part in it where they show the inventory, and it's like, oh, you can equip different stuff, and it's like, here's your chest armor, here's your whatever, and it very quickly goes to another screen, and then abruptly cuts where you can't even see anything. Well, who's editing this trailer? You would just get rid of that. I don't need to see a screen for literally a quarter of a second and then it disappears. It seems like you're hiding something. It seems suspicious. And that's the point. That is the problem with this. Two problems. The editing on this trailer is bad. It's kind of all over the place. It's trying to show you so much, and yet what it shows you isn't that amazing. I think the footage of the city looks like it runs poorly. That's great. This is a great thing from a game coming out in 4 months. I don't buy it for a second. You leave in things like this guy not moving after he's being hit. Poor editing. This is your big thing. This is your big fucking thing that should have been at E3, and you're just now showing it to us? And somehow, you still expect me to believe spring. Didn't even have the balls to give a release date. That's insane. There's no way this is happening. How could this be happening in spring? That's 4 months away. At most. At most, it's 4 months away. And you still have no idea what you're doing. Point two of what's a problem with this and why the delay I've been saying will happen since June, when they didn't show anything at E3, is that it's not cohesive gameplay. You look back, again, I'm repeating myself from an earlier video, you look back at Inquisition, and they showed 15 minutes of gameplay. What we have here is 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds, all stitched together, and not stitched together very well in certain instances. So I don't buy it. What I want to see from this game, they don't want to spoil anything, they don't want to spoil anything. You don't have to fucking spoil anything, okay? All you gotta do is show me landing, getting off the ship, going through that town, and talking to that lady, then getting in the car, and driving and fighting a couple things. All stuff that was in that trailer, but it was cut and edited. And I don't buy it. Look at what they showed for Horizon Zero Dawn. Not they, obviously, it's Sony. At E3. Full gameplay of you leaving the town, running around, having an NPC interaction, then going and talking to some other people. And that game was 8 months out at that point. If not, yeah, 8 months out at that point. And this game is 4 or fewer months out, and they can't even stitch together a trailer. Now, complaints aside, I like what I'm seeing here. I'd like to actually see some stuff, because what they're doing is unprecedented. It's almost as suspicious as what's been going on with Resident Evil 7. Now, I'm a big fan of Resident Evil. Here's a little shot of the room. Big fan of Resident Evil. I love all the Resident Evil games, except for Code Veronica is just mean to me. I don't like it. I'll defend 6. I like 6. That sounds weird. But, 4 is amazing. 2, 1. I like 3 a lot, too. 0 is really good as well. They're all good games. I love Resident Evil. Revelations, 2 phenomenal games. Phenomenal might be a little hyperbole. But I've been worried about 7 because while they've shown kind of gameplay with that demo, there's no gameplay in that demo. It's just this weird PT-esque setup thing that I don't quite understand or want the game to be. But what they did this week, strangely, this week of all times, but the game's coming out in 2 months, or 1 month really, month and a half, finally showed some actual gameplay for the game. And I guess because we had that demo, I kind of forgot about they never really showed the game actually being played for any extended period of time. So we have a ton of new footage of Resident Evil 7. And while I have been very critical of that demo, which I think is still terrible, this looks really good. I think it's trying a little too hard with some of the jump scare stuff. It's a little too much nemesis-y for me, where there's this guy constantly chasing you during different parts of the mansion. But that's fine. I like what I'm seeing here. I like the idea of it. It's incredible. The best part about it to me, a picture of a knife. That's fun for me. The best part about it to me is the idea that it's in first person, and you can, now that we have the visual fidelity, we can look at things in this crazy mansion, like the Resident Evil 1 mansion, and really look at them, close up, and like, what is the detail in here? Like, turn things around, and actually being in the environment is incredible. I love that. Such That's a perfect use. That's not, they didn't just change it to first person because like, oh, let's make it VR, let's just fuck around. There's a reason to it. There's like a calculated idea there of, oh, you can look around the environment, you're stuck in this environment, and it really does add to the horror aspect of it. So that's awesome. That's awesome. A little bit worried about constantly being hunted though. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of, there's a couple other things. These jump scares. While there was something about a Resident Evil game that you kind of knew you were safe at certain points. And I haven't heard, are you safe at any point? Because it is the lulls that make the heightened scary moments scarier. So are you safe? In safe rooms? Maybe. I don't know. And at this point, I don't really want to know anymore. I also kind of think this will get delayed too. It just doesn't make sense, but it's been in development for a long time, and they seem very confident about it. Here's the thing too. How long have we had the Resident Evil release date? How long have we had the Resident Evil Special Edition pre-order garbage? Compare that to Mass Effect, which technically has neither. So that's why I'm worried about Mass Effect not hitting its date, and a little more confident about Resident Evil. It's also an extremely good time for Resident Evil 2 be coming out. January 26th, I think? It's right before my birthday. So thanks, Resident Evil. I hope this is good. I'd love to try the VR with it. I think VR for horror is an incredible idea, and I think it would add a lot to a game like this. It remains to be seen. I'm just glad to finally have minutes of uninterrupted gameplay. Cough, cough, Mass Effect. I know, the scope is very different. One, you're in a house. It's a big house, but it's a house. And the other one, you're in space. But come on. I think you could do a little better than that, BioWare. I think you can do just a smidge better. And with that, let's get into the topics of the week. Boop. Goodbye, scary lady. Goodbye.